They say freak when you're singled out. Red filters through. So lay down, the thread is real. When his side goes red again. Seeing red again. Seeing red again. Things change if you won't contain. Slip away to clear your mind. When asked who made it show, the truth he gives into most. So lay down, the thread is real. When his side goes red again.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Today, as is the case with most days, we have got a couple of panelists here that'll pop back in here in just a minute. They're both getting their collective shit together at the moment. We have got an interesting lineup of things to talk about this evening. We got a little bit of recap from last weekend's craziness that cracked down. We got a couple of interesting fight announcements, some literal last minute news that just came down the pipe as we were going live this evening here, but we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. First and foremost, the return, the triumphant return. Nick Devine, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, everybody? Are we ready to talk about Punchy Kicky? Or what? Where's it? Hey, I thought I was going to be the latest one. Where is everybody? Jeez. I got a reputation uphold, and they're kind of making me look bad here.
Right? Like, TJ's got an excuse. Like, he was literally driving home just to get here to be in time for the show. So he's got a little bit of an excuse, but
I just had to run here for my blanket.
Yeah, RJ sent a message and said he didn't give a shit about this show. He don't care about his record. He's glad TJ's got the W. He's going to stay at work instead of showing up tonight. So, we're just going to roll on without the new guy. Sometimes he gets a bad attitude, and you just got to let him sit in the corner and stew. And I'm sure he'll be okay once he gets over it. But
actually, you know what? I have been busy. I probably ran about 1 million meters in Fortnite tonight so far. So I actually have been busy. But yeah, I'm ready to talk to Punchy. Kiki Punchy. I'm ready to go.
Right on. And then somewhere over there, hiding behind that panel on the other side down there, is Golf T. I did see his face a minute ago, so I know he was here a moment ago. He will be back, I'm sure, in just a moment. But before we get too deep into everything going on here, first and foremost, Fresh, we love you. We hope you get better soon so you can get your ass back here. But we will jump into, as we often like to do around here, before we get into the news and the craziness, do a quick little recap of the insanity that went down last weekend. So I will say this. Overall, last weekend was not a bad card at all. There was a lot more surprising moments than I think anybody really anticipated cracking loose. Opening fight, only heavyweight fight on the card. First round is just bad news bears. And then it's like they flipped the switch in between rounds, because when round 2 started, it was the polar opposite. Alan Badeau could not get his shit together to save his ass when that bell started round 2, and Rodrigo Ferreira just fucking flatlined him. Absolute 100% night and day turnaround between round 1 and round 2. Only a heavyweight fight on the card, so it was insane. And when power like that gets thrown at heavyweight, people go to sleep. And poor Allen was on the receiving end of a fucking beautifully swung shot from Rodrigo, and opening fight's a fucking KO. So, you know, props for the big man for opening the fucking show with a kapow. That, on the other hand, though, brought us into the Figueiredo Gordon fight. I gotta say, Malcolm Gordon did not really do shit to impress me. On the other hand, Francisco Figueiredo disappointed the ever-loving shit out of me. His boxing was subpar at best. He couldn't stop a fucking takedown if you wrote instructions for it on the top of Malcolm's head. It just was not what you ever expect from any of the Figueiredo brothers. And the really shitty part about it is that he went into this fight saying, seeing his brother lose after such a great streak and see people start to doubt him, made him want to win that much more. And then he got in the octagon and just flat out shit the bed. If you were trying to do that to stick up for your family name or to give people faith in you and your brother again, boy, did you play the wrong fucking card when that game started, dude. Because Malcolm Gordon ended up getting an easily earned unanimous decision from the judges in that victory. It's not, like I said, he didn't do anything impressive, but he easily did more and won every single round against Francisco Figueiredo. I'm genuinely disappointed in that fight. Francisco Figueiredo just kind of let the whole family name down after all that buildup. Now, Davison, I understand, got caught in a choke. Sometimes that happens, but he took his loss like a fucking man. Didn't really diminish his character. Chokes happen, and he got caught with one. Props to Moreno. Props to fucking Davison for handling the loss like a champ. But if that was supposed to motivate you to put on a show, and that's the show that we got from that motivation, boy, you Figueiredo brothers better both get back in the fucking gym and get to grinding real fucking hard, real fucking quick. Probably the biggest, throwing stuff around. Probably the biggest surprise, I think, excuse me, of the night for me at least, Amanda Lamoge. We mentioned her in the show last week. She was a 135er that pissed hot, took her 2-year suspension like a champ, came back down at 115, clean and verified, ready to come in and wreck shop. And holy shit, Montserrat is not necessarily a world breaker by any stretch of the imagination. She came out last time and mud stomped fucking Cheyenne Bays for us, which I absolutely appreciate. But for whatever reason, when she got into the cage with Amanda, it was a very different ball game. 35 seconds is all it fucking took, and Amanda Lamoge did work. Just clean, aggressive, non-stop forward fucking pressure, and then good night, sweetheart. There was, I will say, a little bit of controversy in the stoppage in that when Ruiz got dropped, she was looking up when she hit the ground, and it seemed like she was starting to try and get her wits about her real quick. It was absolutely a flash knockout. You could see that she kind of came to and responded back and was back in the moment, but if you look real close, because I was actually talking about this fight with somebody yesterday, if you go back and watch the slow motion replay that they showed at the end, not the in the moment real time, go back and actually watch the slower version where they're a little more zoomed in, tighter on Ruiz herself as she hits the ground. She's not looking at Amanda Lamoge. She's literally got 1,000-yard stare, and like if Lamoge is right where the camera is, she was looking over here. But she was at enough of an angle when she fell, it seemed like she was staring right back at Lamoge. She was fucking out the whole time she was falling. And when she hit the ground, yes, she might have snapped back to it. But that whole stare that people were trying to say was her still in the fight, no, sweetheart. She was looking off into the fucking bleachers. She had no idea where she was at or what fucking day it was. That was a good, clean fucking knockout. Good stoppage. Very interested to see where Amanda Lamoge is going to go forward here because, like I said, Montserrat isn't exactly a world breaker, but that was a hell of a fucking performance she put on against her.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I wish I could join it. I didn't even watch last week. So I'm going to just let you keep going through. I'm listening, though. But, yeah. I wish I could add in and give you conversation with this, but I actually would be talking nonsense.
It's all good.
I'll add to this. Can we just say she put that entire strawweight division on notice on that after coming back off of fucking taking her fucking 2-year suspension and coming back? She put that entire fucking division on notice in 35 seconds. Like from top to bottom, there's danger in those hands. Be careful. Yeah, fucking fantastic. Not to mention, do you want to mention? Because I did just get in. If you didn't notice, we did change the name today. So we got to uphold things around here. So now that everything is in working order.
Yeah, hopefully. So, but moving along from there, not quite a 35-second get in there, get out of there fucking paycheck, but still clean work. Poor RJ's buddy Preston. I mean, look, we said it last week. I'll say it again this week. Props for taking that fucking fight on short notice, stepping in a guy against a guy rather like D-Rod, who has a very, very public track record of being a bad motherfucker and against everybody they put him in with so far. You knew damn well it wasn't going to be an easy fight, so absolutely fucking tip of the hat to you for taking that one, knowing you were going up against a legitimate bad motherfucker on short notice. But man, 347 is what it took total out against poor Preston there, and D-Rod was just looking fucking crisp the whole way through. Cool, calm, and fucking collected, never out of sorts, never going too far, never throwing too much. And then sure enough, old Preston just took about as much as he could fucking handle. And that was all she wrote. D-Rod with the fucking stoppage again. I'm not saying he's in the title conversation yet, but what I will say is I think it's about time we give Rodriguez somebody with a fucking number behind his name. I'm not saying you got to give him number 4. Give him 15. I don't give a shit. But I think Rodriguez has fucking proved himself at this point. We need to give this man a chance to get himself ranked. Give him 15 and let him fight the fucking gatekeeper. I'm cool with that. But the performances we have seen from him consistently, that's a dangerous fucking welterweight. Give that man a chance to put himself in the fucking conversation.
Yes, and can we also add, not only has he been in the conversation, he's been doing it on short fucking notice and quick turnarounds since the beginning of last year. I mean,
Yeah.
Fucking, you had Tim Means in February. In May, he was fighting Green. Fought again in August, and then again in November, and then this year, so far, April and July. Can we say one of the quickest turnaround fighters we've seen as of recently? Don't get me wrong.
He's
Kamzat
trying
had
to put
that
Kevin Holland.
quick turnaround
He's trying
thing,
to
but
put Kevin Holland out of business, dude.
dude, right now he's a straight fucking company man, and that company man deserves to fucking get paid right now. Give that dude a fucking number.
I mean, look what they did for Kevin Holland for putting 5 fights together in a year.
Yep. And
B-Rod's working on what, 8 now in a fucking calendar year, and
he's only had
I'm telling you
one
now.
setback. One setback.
I was gonna say, and I don't count that fucking Dalby fight as a loss. Go back and watch that fucking Nicholas Dalby fight again. No fucking way. That's a case of Saul D'Amato and Chris Lee being fuckheads and ruining somebody's night on the cards. He won that goddamn fight against Nicholas
Yep.
Dalby, and I'll go fight the athletic commission myself if I fucking have to.
And look, even let's say he did lose that fight, that's still only one out of how many of those fights that he's been just fucking, let me take another one, let me take another one, let me take another one, and constantly doing fucking work. Dude, at this point, if he doesn't get his next fight against somebody with a number, the UFC is just fucking him. They're literally bending him over and not even giving him the courtesy of a reach around. Oh, and I also want to add, this is what happens when you come at me because you have a personal relationship with a fighter. You catch the L. Just saying.
Oh, man. Poor RJ. But that will bring us into the beginning of the main card itself. For a hangover card, they did pretty fucking decent last weekend, man. They really fucking did. Gabriel Benitez and Billy Q.
Let me just say this before you get into it. I told you motherfuckers so last week. This is the fight to tune in for on the entire fucking card. This was the one. That's all I have to say, because it was indeed the one on this card.
It sure the fuck was. And it's funny because even after last week's show, watching a couple of other different MMA shows, and then watching the Vegas odds, even going up into the fucking show or into the card itself, everybody had Benitez as the fucking favorite. Everybody was expecting Billy Q to just get his ass whipped, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why. Benitez is the one here who is fucking questionable to begin with. Billy Q has been on a fucking tear. There's a reason we know his name is Billy Quarantillo, not Billy Quarantillo, as the rest of the world assumed it should have been pronounced. Because after he got a badass win, he got on the microphone and clarified that shit for us. Came Saturday night. Apparently motherfuckers forgot because Billy Q showed up and made a goddamn statement, in my opinion. Featherweight division better start paying attention because there's some of these guys down here that folks aren't seeming to be paying enough fucking attention to that are starting to tear their way through the fucking roster. Billy Q is at the top of that fucking list, man. I will say, Benitez was a tough motherfucker. He ate some serious fucking damage in that shot, and he gave as good as he got for the most part in the early part of the fight. But as we started to get into that second round, and as those ticks started to roll over and that clock started to wear on, you could see Billy just wasn't getting fucking tired, and Gabriel started to slow down a little bit. And when you got a fucking dynamo in front of you like that, you can't take your foot off the pedal, even just a little bit, even for a second, because crazy shit like Billy's right hand come through and send you to fucking La La Land.
Saying, I told everybody, you gotta watch out. There's a reason why we had our eyes on him from the fucking get-go. Quarantillo has been fucking making a name. Nobody wants to recognize it yet, probably because they were having a hard time saying it. But now, you ain't gonna forget. Another reason for the W. Call the right fucking fight to watch. You end up with those champ statuses.
Yeah, absolutely. Billy is on his way up. He's another one. I won't say he's in the same boat as Rodriguez, but god damn it if he's not 3 fucking paddles behind him in the fucking same river, man. D-Rod needs a guy with a fucking number behind his name. I think one more good win like Billy did Saturday night, and then he's right fucking there. I'd say Billy's top 20 in the fucking division right now easily. One more good win, you're going to have to give that boy a fucking numbered opponent his next fight out as well. They're, like I said, we're starting to get some real fucking talent coming up from the fucking ground here in the UFC, and I'm real fucking happy to see it. Moving along from there, though, there's an old saying, and folks don't seem to use it as much anymore these days, and I don't understand why, because it rings just as true today as it ever fucking has. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. Dustin Stolfa said that he wanted to go to the ground with Rodolfo Vieira, that he was a better grappler, that he had nothing to worry about. He wasn't the least bit afraid, that he would do just fine, and that he welcomed the challenge. And then Vieira took him to the fucking ground in reality, and holy shit, was it a very different situation than poor Dustin anticipated. All that shit talking, all that chest thumping in the buildup went right out the goddamn window, because Vieira ragdolled that motherfucker anytime they were on the ground, put him where he wanted him, when he wanted him, until he got him just right and put that motherfucker Dunsville. If you got a guy who specializes in jiu-jitsu, in ground game, in chokes in particular, and you don't, that's not your game, why the fuck would you try that shit on the fucking big stage under the lights on the main card? Vieira did not have much of an issue once they got to the ground. There was a little bit of a struggle. He's not the best striker in the world. A lot of the BJJ practitioners that are really good in the UFC particularly generally aren't the best boxers, because you don't strike in jiu-jitsu for the most part. So that's not something they're generally great at. This is kind of a case that we saw exactly just that. He held his own all right. He ate a couple, but he held his own all right. But then they got to the ground, and Dustin was a fish out of fucking water. So careful what you fucking wish for. You just might get it. And if you ain't a BJJ guy, don't challenge a fucking jiu-jitsu guy to jiu-jitsu.
Pretty sure they call that play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and don't let your alligator mouth overload your canary ass.
Right? Very much so. Very much so. And ironically, in the exact same fucking vein, we had a very similar situation, although not quite as long, in the next fight in the People's Co-main event, as it were. Polish fucking power, baby. Jan, the fucking Polish light heavyweight champion, inspired Mateusz Gamrot himself, said so several times in the buildup. He wants to start to show the world that Polish power is real and that everybody coming out of Poland is a serious motherfucker right now. Jeremy Stevens talked a lot of shit and completely overlooked Gamrot. Guess what? He got his ass Kimura'd with the motherfucking quickness, a minute 5 in the first fucking round, and Gamrot had him yoked the fuck up. Easily wrapped him up and had him fucking screaming. Gamrot's another one. Just kind of showed up out of nowhere, jumped right onto the fucking radar, and he is making fucking noise. Everybody they have put Gamrot against, he has made fucking beautiful work of. And now he's got a guy with a name like Jeremy Stevens where he took out in a minute. Gamrot's about to start climbing those fucking rankings as well. I'm telling you right now. And then Oh, and then the co-main event of the evening. I said it going into this card, and I'm going to say it again afterwards, even though we're not going to see her again anymore. When Marion Renault, even during the buildup, before the fight itself, when they had her side by side with Misha, even in videos, they looked like they were reversed ages. Misha looked like she was 44 going on 45, and Marion looked like she's about to turn 35. Yoked as shit. Oh, girl came in ready for fucking war, knowing damn well it was her retirement fight, win or lose, and still showed up to do the goddamn thing. The problem for her was that Misha Tate showed up looking like she hadn't been out of the octagon for 5 weeks, let alone 5 years. She stepped in like she hadn't missed a fucking beat. She's had 2 kids and worked a whole separate fucking job and then came back and looked like she just took a weekend vacation and came back to get after it again. She really did look just like the fucking Misha Tate we saw before she left the UFC back in that fucking I can't do this anymore moment. It really looks like they're gonna throw her straight up to the top after this. And I like Misha, but I don't know that one fight back against a girl who was retiring regardless is necessarily how you want to make your title run start. But if that's what they're gonna do, I get it. I get it.
I'll say it, to be quite honest, as much as I said this was an overhyped fight, I still think so. However, don't get me wrong, Misha did not miss a fucking beat. And to be quite honest, I think she looked better coming back than she did when she had won the title against fucking Holly Holm.
I can agree with that. I can absolutely agree with that.
Her stand-up game was a lot better. It wasn't without its holes, because there were still holes there, but it was definitely tenfold better than what it was before. And you could see that the actual love for the sport was back, which, to be honest, that's a dangerous thing for a Cupcake to have, because she was good beforehand, and like she doesn't need to work on her grappling. Anybody who knows, that's how she won the fucking title. She put somebody straight to fucking sleep with a rear naked choke. So it's not a grappling issue. Hers was always a stand-up issue. Although I will say, as much as they were talking about how much better her movement is, her movement was still fucking...
It wasn't that much better. Like I said, it looked just like she did before she left in a lot of ways, right?
Her striking was a lot more crisp, which was fucking weird.
I did watch that fight. I watched the last 2 fights. I did watch that. She looked really good. I really think potentially she could beat anybody but the champ in that division, really. It seems like to me. I think it's possible. There ain't really anybody else. The champ's is scary. Right? Yeah,
I agree. I think she can handle pretty much anybody with a number. I don't think she's Amanda ready.
Nah,
but I agree.
And I'm not sure if she ever
Give
will
her
be.
a couple more fights though. Now that she's got some of the rust knocked off, she might get to that Amanda state, because you know what? Nobody thought she had a chance against fucking Holly Holm either. So
yeah, that's true. No.
Misha's always been good as an underdog. That's the thing people forget about her.
That's very true. That's very true.
Every time she was an underdog, she surprised motherfuckers.
As long as she's not fighting Ronda, she doesn't get armbarred. She's all right.
Yeah, that's the one thing she couldn't do. She just could not figure out how to not get armbarred.
Yeah, that was always Misha's kryptonite. Realistically, was the armbar, and that was Ronda's fucking specialty. That's why they made such exciting matchups when they fought, is because everybody knew Misha would want to get it to the ground eventually. That's her spot. Ronda wanted to stay on the feet, but Ronda had those takedowns, and she always could transition from a takedown to those crazy, weird, dangerous arm bars that she had, and Misha just never figured out how to stop them. So I think with the game having moved on a little bit from armbarville, at least on the ladies' side, Misha's got a chance to start heading up those fucking rankings real quick.
Oh yeah, I think with Rocket knocking some of that ring rust off, she's gonna look better in the next fight. And to be quite honest, I hope for her sake, she does a quick turnaround time, like within 6-8 months. Get a second.
Yeah, I don't want to see her wait a year to get back in there for sure.
No, because you just knocked the rust off. Get back in there and train some more. She really didn't take much damage at all in that fight.
Not a whole lot. She looked really good on the feet for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, in all theory, I could see her in here before the end of the year again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially considering the UFC is already building some really big cards toward the end of the year. There's a couple of them that would do very well with a Misha Tate comeback to go for that fucking look, I'm here, give me my title shot fight.
Yeah.
But that will bring us to the main event of the evening. Islam Makachev versus Thiago Moises. I will say this. Despite the way that fight ended, that was in no way a blowout. Everybody, most MMA journalists, everyone in the Las Vegas odds setting community, everybody for the most part, save for a couple of us, completely overlooked Thiago. Just expected Islam to come out and fucking 1 round KO or 5 round wrestle fuck Thiago. Either way, just dominate the goddamn fight and make him look like a clown because he's Khabib's protege, blah, blah, fucking blah. Yank me 3 extra fucking times. Thiago is not a fucking can. And he demonstrated that, in my opinion, by giving every fucking bit as good as he got for 3 hard fucking rounds. There was not a moment in that fight, in my opinion, where Islam was dominating and had Thiago in trouble or had him worried, with the exception of the seconds literally leading up to the end of the goddamn fight itself. Props to Islam for a beautiful fucking submission. Like I said, regardless of how you feel about somebody, credit where credit is fucking due. That man earned a beautiful fucking submission there. Did not go asshole on it like he could have, like we have seen other people do in that same situation, and then went out. The problem is I'm not 100% sure if he really believes his own hype as much as they're trying to push it, or if it's really Khabib flamethrowering the fucking train of hype for him that's getting him as much attention as he's got. But he's number 9, and he beat number 14. Nothing in that sentence equals title shot. And I heard no less than 5 accredited, like legitimate big name MMA journalists and sports journalists after Saturday night saying Islam needs a title shot. Come on, man. Come the fuck on, man. You're 9, you beat 14. Calm the fuck down. This is also the first time we've seen him in almost a year and a half, because Islam can't fucking fight 3 times a year, despite all the shit he talks. Because most of those Dagestani wrestlers, including Khabib, including Islam, cut a lot of fucking weight. So they can't do quick turnarounds. We probably won't see Islam again unless it's at the very end of the year. How does beating a 14 at 9 and then possibly not even being able to finish out the year with another fight equal title shot? Come on now. Fuck's sake. So, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. We had a new record set Saturday night. Something that we had been saying for a long fucking time that they should do. Dana finally decided to fucking do. They had a fight of the night, and there were 4 performance bonuses of the night. To the massive surprise of absolutely no one who was watching the fights, fight of the night went to Billy Q versus Gabriel Benitez. That fucking banger that we kind of fucking called. Somebody even made a point to go off about it. And then for the 4 performance of the night bonuses, Miesha Tate, obviously she's been gone for a while. She came back. She looked great. I get it. Mateus Gamrot, he shut Stevens the fuck down. You damn right that man earns a bonus. Rodolfo Vieira, he got called out, stepped up to the challenge and did the goddamn thing that they told him he wasn't going to be able to fucking do. Give that man a check. And then Nascimento, the opening heavyweight, the man who got his ass beat for a solid round, came back and molly-whopped the fuck out of the guy he was fighting to do the full 180 on that. I can't be mad at that man getting himself a fucking bonus either. I believe that was his debut fight as well. So fucking good on you, being the only heavyweight fight on the card opener, and then that big of a turnaround to get that crazy of a knockout and earn yourself a performance bonus. Bravo, sir. Nicely fucking done. Looking at the medical suspensions, the only thing that stands out to me as a little bit funny, everybody, because nobody really took a whole lot of damage. Montserrat is out just as long as everyone else who got clocked on that fucking card. The only real medical suspension that stands out as a little bit funny to me is that, knowing this was her final fight, and she confirmed this was her final fight, the athletic commission still suspended Marion Renault after the match until January of 2022 because she got her fucking nose broke and her orbital cracked in that fight against Misha. So even though she confirmed what had been built up as her retirement fight indeed was her retirement fight, they still suspended her until January of next year either fucking way, because Nevada State Athletic Commission. Because even if they start to get some things right, they still can't stay consistent with it. They got to fuck up somewhere. So we had that in there. That being said, though, that will bring us into our little bit of news that we've got. Really was not a whole lot of news. A couple of fight announcements, a couple of interesting things here. The first fight announcement we got was late notice, last minute drop off last weekend. We did not get Miles Johns versus Anderson Dos Santos because Anderson Dos Santos's cornerman tested positive for the Backstreet Boys. So they literally were pulled, I believe it was an hour and a half or 2 hours before the fucking show started when everything got found out, and they literally immediately quarantined everybody, pulled them, everybody that was in contact with everybody who was questionable out, and tested everybody again, and it was just the cornerman. So they pulled that fight off the card last weekend. We got word yesterday they have officially rebooked the Miles Johns versus Anderson Dos Santos fight, and now they're sticking it on UFC 265 coming up in 2 weeks. So they got bumped from a prelim fight on a fight night to a fucking pay-per-view card, where anywhere on that card is still a lot more attention than you're going to get on a prelim for a fight night card. So that's going to be interesting to see if the bright lights, as it were, bring a little more fire out of both of those boys. We got an announcement for August 20th, Bellator 265, a fight that I literally did not think was going to be possible to be made, because I could have sworn the last time we saw this gentleman, Scott Coker, and he both confirmed that he was on a one-fight contract just for that fight, and he had no interest in fighting after that. But here we are. Bellator 265 will see the return of one Czech Congo getting back into the octagon against Sergey Karatanov. Ironically, that's a pretty even, realistically, that's a pretty even matchup. Style-wise and ability-wise, I think it's a really good matchup. I'm just confused because Czech said he was retired, and Coker said that he gave him a one-fight contract and had no interest in bringing him back for anything more. They just wanted to give him that one last shot. This is the second time after that one last shot we've seen Chuck Congo in the goddamn octagon. So are we just going to do this? Is Chuck just going to come back? Or are we really going to keep playing this fucking game? Because if he's back, let him be back. Let him get past fucking Karatanov and start getting into the real rankings and start getting to where he's obviously going to try to fucking go. Otherwise, stop it. God damn it. Chuck Congo's 46 years old. For fuck's sake. If you're not going to let that man run for the gold, stop stringing him the fuck along. He's another one of those fucking legends who's been doing it since before half the people listening to this could spit straight. He deserves his time to relax. If it's money, pay him fucking more. But if you're going to let that man do it, just let him fucking do it and get him back in there and get him on the grind. Otherwise, let the man fucking retire. Crying out loud. Here we go. September 18th. UFC has added a very interesting matchup for me here. Antonio Arroyo, who we have seen his name slapped onto fight cards, I think 4 times in the last year, but have not seen him actually back in the goddamn octagon yet. Booked now on the September 18th card against Joaquin Buckley. I'm not saying they're trying to give him somebody he can throw another highlight kick against, but they're giving him somebody they can throw another highlight kick against. Oh yeah, there we go. I almost forgot that I wrote that in the notes there. We got some very, very interesting news, in my opinion, here. For the first time since they have really started to make themselves a household name or become more of a recognized organization, Bellator has officially done a list cropping, a roster culling, if you will, of notable names of several ex-UFC fighters who got brought over and several Bellator's own brought up, dyed in the wool Bellator fighters have officially been let go. The total number of fighters that they cut this week was 21. I'm not going to read all 21, but there are several names that everyone watching this or listening to this show will recognize here. The first one being Matt Mitrione. We said it was time to shit or get off the pot. Well, guess what? Flush. Woo. Mitrione, be gone. They cut Matt Mitrione along with Ronnie Marks, who understandably did not have the greatest record, but had been around for a hot minute and wasn't a bad release. But the one that kind of tripped me up a little bit was they also released in the same cut Adil Benjelani, who literally just won last weekend on the Bellator card and looked fucking great doing it. The only thing I will say is it's not as weird. It just sounds a little weird because he won and then they cut him. I did do a little looking into it. They didn't necessarily cut him per se. His contract was up and they just didn't renew him because he was interested in free agency. Allegedly, he's looking at going to PFL because he wants to make even more money. So it's kind of amicable, kind of weird the way they did it, though. But the second set of names is the one that's got a bunch that everyone's going to recognize here. DeMarcus Jackson, who just won a couple weeks ago, got cut. Cronry Gracie got cut. John Teixeira got cut. Tyree Fortune, another brought up, got cut. Taiwan Claxton got cut. We knew that was coming when Tim Johnson beat his fucking ass. Beck Rawlings got cut because she's more interested in going back to bare knuckle fighting than staying in Bellator. So apparently she's going to try and milk that whole battle of the OnlyFans that we'll talk about in a little while when she gets a chance to. But the other two names that they cut that really surprised me, Daniel Strauss, former champion, and Liam McGeary, former champion. Liam McGeary has only been out because in his last fight, he got his jaw broken and a tooth broken in his jaw that they had to wire his mouth shut for 6 months for. He's healed up. The wiring's off. He's back to training. If you follow his social, Liam is very much in fight-ready shape. But it seems like Scott didn't want to play that game anymore, so unfortunately, they let him go. It's weird to see Bellator letting go of so many legitimate big names, especially when some of those were fighters that they brought up in the Bellator organization and raised as their own fighters. They didn't come from another organization. They were in-house talent. But nothing lasts forever. In other interesting fight world news, though, we did find out that BKFC royalty, as it were, heavyweight king Joey Beltran and ladies fighter Britain Hart officially tied the knot this week. Congrats to both of them. They're both fucking awesome folks. Dig that very much. Britain Hart will be in action this weekend. We will talk about her in just a minute here as well. We also got some interesting news this week regarding what started as kind of a literal bad drunken slip up on television and has now turned into a full-blown thing. Trillers confirming of Oscar De La Hoya coming out of retirement and fighting Vitor Belfort has been taken a step further. Not only is Oscar De La Hoya actually coming out of retirement to box Vitor Belfort, they have officially decided, and I quote, "Fuck this shit. It is no longer an exhibition match and is now going to be considered a professional boxing match with regular 10-ounce gloves and no headgear." I don't really know that that's going to make it any more exciting or any more of a reason for anyone to watch that on either side of the fandom. But as they say, it is what it is. The last kind of weird piece of news that I've got here real quick before we get into some punchy kicky talk, officially announced Monday of this week. Very much like for most of the early seasons, Dana White had Snoop Dogg and Uriah Faber providing alternative commentary, I believe is the best way to describe that, to the Dana White's Contender Series as those fights were going on. BKFC is going to have this weekend for their BKFC 19 card their own alternative commentary crew, doing their color commentary and play-by-play as well, in Chuck Liddell. I'm not 100% sure how or why, but it's going to be a thing. Apparently, if you want to hear this, you have to be watching the fight on Fight TV. You cannot be watching it through the BKFC app to get that commentary, which is a little odd to me, but you know, BKFC going to do what a BKFC going to do. Good for them. That being said, I do want to take just a moment here before we get into too much UFC craziness to talk about tomorrow night's, Friday night's BKFC 19 card. So, if you haven't seen, this quite literally could be the beginning of the end for BKFC. All the work they had done building up legitimacy and bringing in real fighters and putting on genuine bare knuckle brawls, badass matches, and fights that people were talking about years later that people still cite back to in the early fights. And they kind of just flushed that down the toilet for this card, genuinely. The card opens with not one, not two, but three separate fights between TikTokers. Now, I'm not a fan of it, and I sure as fuck don't encourage it, but it's one thing when Jake and Logan Paul, who are legitimate D1 athletes, go in and take on boxing, and we're using that term loosely. They at least have some athletic prowess and background and proven track record in sports, literally. It is a whole different thing when we literally have 6 different sing-songy, twiggy, never been in a bar fight in their fucking life TikTokers who are quite literally going to be throwing some of them their very first punches ever in a bare knuckle pay-per-view event. This is not a good look. This is what Triller is built on. This is not what a legitimate organization should be having anything to do with. And it gets worse than that, because then they're bringing the woman who just literally lost her main event debut of all fucking fights last time out to headline again in what is literally being called the Battle of the OnlyFans, the rematch that no one asked for, Paige Van Zandt versus Rachel Ostovich 2 in bare knuckle boxing. And as if they weren't sure if this is the direction they wanted to go, they doubled down, because not only is that going to be the main event, the OnlyFans runs deep in this fucking card, because the opening fight is Chara Sigala, who bounced her way against Tara Starling in the last horrible fucking event, stepping back in, bouncier than ever, against Pearl Gonzalez, who was literally signed for her personality and not her boxing ability, much like Paige Van Zandt, much like Rachel Ostovich, much like Jenny Savage, much like several of the fucking ladies on this card, and several of the ladies who are now prominent faces of BKFC, as sad as that is. There are 2 fights on this card, top to bottom, that I consider even remotely genuinely legitimate fights. Abel Velasquez versus Herrera, which is going to be the only men fight that doesn't have a TikToker involved in some fucking way. And then Britton Hart versus Jenny Savage, because this is a fight that earned its way into being. Britton Hart commentated Jenny Savage's debut fight. After Britton Hart's last victory, Jenny Savage literally walked into the octagon and cut her off while she was giving her post Paige Van Zandt beating speech, and then got a bottle of water poured on her fucking head. So there is legitimate bad blood between those two in the actual BKFC world. And then Velasquez versus Herrera are the only non-TikTok involved fucking people on this card on the guys' side of the house. So there are 2 legitimate fights on this card. But I would absolutely not encourage you to go out and spend $65 on this pay-per-view. I would absolutely say that this is one you should go catch at Buffalo Wild Wings, or pony up with a couple buddies for $5 a pop to get drunk and laugh at. And don't shell out of your own pocket for this card.
I might also suggest something else, that you go find it elsewhere where you don't pay for it or have to buy wings.
Yeah, if there is absolutely a way for you to see this show for free, I cannot tell you how to legally do such a thing, but if there is a way to do that, that would absolutely be probably your best bet.
I'm just saying, yeah. At least if you go to Buffalo Wild Wings, you're going to have some decent fucking food. After that, the fights, I guess, they're just kind of I wouldn't say a cherry on top, because it's not really a cherry. It's more like a shit in the middle of your table.
Right, kind of a silver lining in that, like, they cleaned the shit up before you got served your food, as opposed to letting it stay there during the meal.
Yeah, most definitely.
So from there, we did get just a little bit of a last minute announcement, like I was talking about here. The co-main event for this weekend's upcoming UFC Las Vegas 32 card has officially been scratched as of 9:55 p.m. this evening. Aspen Ladd and Macy Chazon has officially been pulled from the card. It was not announced at the time of the pulling what had happened. Since then, it has been updated. We now know that it is an injury from the Chazon camp. She has not disclosed what it was, just that it was a last-minute injury that has caused her to pull out. As of right now, the UFC is officially looking for someone to step up late notice, but seeing as how weigh-ins are tomorrow morning, odds are not looking good that that's going to happen. We're most likely not going to see Aspen Ladd on the card. Not that it was that much of a big deal, but losing the co-main event 2 days before the show always sucks and will throw everything into a little bit of chaos regardless. So that being said, this is the point in the evening where we're going to get down we're going to open the pit. Those of you who are listening aren't going to get to enjoy that sweet, sweet GIF that broadcasts on the screen when we go into the pit. But trust me, it's pretty awesome. That being said, this is the point where our fine young man here, Golf T, will get a chance to continue his reign as the current W holder of the pit. So, Nick Devine, since you weren't here last week, I'm going to give you a quick little rundown and an explanation, as it were. The pit
I'm
is how
listening.
we finish our shows now. The pit is a series of 5 questions given to both contenders. You and Golf T will both get a chance to answer the question here. It is not a matter of who gets it right and who gets it wrong. It is a matter of who makes the most compelling argument for your point. Best of 5 becomes the winner and carries the W on to the next week. As of right now, TJ has the W and RJ's got a big fat L on his forehead. You get to be the first man to challenge the W of Mr. Golf T here.
Okay.
So,
Listening.
with this being a non-hangover card, it still kind of sucks. But as with every card we get from the UFC, there's always some good and there's always some bad. There's always some that doesn't get covered and always some that gets covered way more than it fucking should have. So, for our opening round here in the pit, we're going to keep it kind of light, kind of loose here. What to you is the biggest slept on or the biggest sleeper fight on this weekend's upcoming card? You have 1 minute. Golf T, since you are the champion and you are familiar with the format of the game here, I will give you first option. The floor is yours, sir. You got to unmute, though.
Well, that's why I didn't say anything yet. I was waiting. I was getting there.
I'm
Calm
just
down.
looking at my notes. I knew you were going to ask this question. I'm just looking at my notes.
Oh, he gets questions before. Okay.
No. I just knew. I'm just really good.
So this is how we're going to play this. I
Yeah.
guess Champ's got to come in here swinging while somebody else gets extra notes. All right. That's okay. We got this.
This is.
No.
Wait a minute. There's only 3 fights on the main card? No, there isn't. I'm sorry. There it is. Okay.
Okay.
There you
Well, I guess in this case, we better just call a forfeit now.
go.
You
Probably.
really think he's got my notes and this is what he's asking you?
All right. Okay. Just making sure. I'm like, that sounded like some shoddy shit there, but okay. Let's
Just for that,
get into this
I'm
here.
gonna
You got your
reset your
timer
timer.
ready to go?
I'm getting you extra time for that. You're good.
All right. This one, most underrated fight that I think is going to be the most slept on. And people are going to look at me funny when I say this. Miranda Maverick and Macy Barber. Not because of Macy Barber. Because of Miranda Maverick. She's been slept on entirely too much. Macy coming off of a loss and not being able to seem to get her shit together after fucking her goddamn injury. I have a feeling that we might see a pretty good fucking fight between these two because Macy, she does like to dog fight a little bit, but I still don't think she's there. I think Miranda is going to tear her a new asshole and take that one step further in that flyweight division. They're going to have to give her somebody in the top 10 in her next fight, being ranked 13. So I think this is going to be the most slept on fight because Miranda Maverick has been on an absolute tear. And you guys do not know who she is, you need to pay the fuck attention because she is dangerous in this fucking division right here. Anybody who comes in to fight her is getting their asses whipped, and she's doing it in very dominant fashion. Now, she hasn't yet finished anybody, but everybody that she has fought, she has completely decimated and dominated. So, telling you, keep your eye on Miranda Maverick. It's gonna be the most slept on fight of the night. I really think so.
Interesting.
I'll pick the Ian Heimish Nasser fight. Just cause, and not because of Nasser dying, because of Ian Heimish. He's just fun to watch. He makes for a good fight because he gets punched in the head and he could take it. And he's just he's fun to watch. I'm gonna pick that one. I think that's enough said, actually. Yeah. Enough said.
Okay. I will say this. This might be the first time we've had a contestant turn in ahead of time and drop the mic on it. So I'll absolutely give you the credit for that.
I'm hoping for a Fortnite question next. He's getting me beat right now. No, go ahead.
I will say this is a very compelling argument. I absolutely understand Nasruddin Imavov is an exciting fighter. I
don't know.
Punch the living shit out of Ian Heinisch. That would make me very, very happy.
You think? And you think he's going to be able to too? So that would be a good fight then.
I think he will be able to beat the shit out of Ian Heinisch. So I absolutely do give you credit for
that'd be cool.
recommending that fight. On the other hand here, I could literally give a shit less about Macy Barber. Miranda Maverick, on the other hand, is a legitimate badass, and I think she is going to do fucking work and hand Macy her ass this weekend.
Yeah, I don't like Macy Barber either.
It's a little interesting because we had one contestant actually use half of his time and then drop the mic, and we had the other contestant who ran overtime, as is normally the case here. But I think in this situation, because I hate Ian Heinisch and I do want to see him get his ass kicked, I'm going to give round one to the early man himself, Nick Devine.
Damn.
You get for starting the timer and giving that fucking guy the questions beforehand. All right, I got you.
This was my mind game.
You think the guy who says there's 3 fights on the main card really got notes for me?
See, I pulled a Conor McGregor on you.
Notes on the fights. Maybe the questions that are going to be asked, though.
No, I had no idea.
So
when he has to say, I need to check my notes.
For round 2 here, Nick's checking his notes in advance.
I was looking at what I was doing. I said UFC schedule, and I see what fights are actually on this fucking week. I know TJ Dillashaw and Sandhagen. That's what I know.
Right. So to keep this.
So they were all slept on to me, really.
Yeah. So to keep this in the same spirit, for round 2 here, we're gonna go with what is the overhyped fight on this card. What is the card? The fight rather on this card that's gonna suck, but everyone is talking about it for some reason, because there's a couple of them. So since you've already got your notes handy, we'll let you go first this time, Nick.
Oh man, I this card isn't very good. First of all, it's definitely not. Let's put it this way: there's not a lot of names on there, is there? Even for like a casual, there's not a lot of names on there, right?
Right.
So I like Aspen Ladd too. She's probably I don't know. Oh, it's a kind of good fight. It might be overhyped. I haven't really heard anybody talk about any other fights besides Macy Barber's overhyped. Let's just do that. Macy Barber's overhyped. Yeah. They're probably overhyping her. I don't like her either. She's my Ian Heinisch.
I can accept that.
So I guess I'd have to say that one. Usually cards do have overhyped fights, but I do like the main event for sure.
All right. Well, then, Golf D, the floor is yours.
All right, look. I said it in my lengthy spiel. Yes, Macy Barber is overhyped. But I'm not going to say that fight is overhyped, because it's really not. It's still pretty much a sleeper fight, I think. However, one that I think is going to be overhyped the most, fucking Mickey Gall and Jordan Williams. Because the UFC has this wonderful knack for wanting to put Mickey Gall into situations where he should be able to win. I don't know why they want him to try to be the face of fucking MMA, other than the fact that you beat CM Punk. What did he fucking do? We knew that was going to happen. A guy that's never fucking trained MMA a day in his life. Not taking away from CM Punk's athleticism, because he is an athlete, right, but he's not a fighter. And so since then, let's push Mickey Gall up and see if we can get him to blow up. But every time they put him in there, he trips over his own dick. Going to be the most overhyped fight, probably not worth turning into. I think Jordan Williams is going to whip his ass. Even though
Uh,
Jordan Williams just lost his first fight in the UFC.
Yeah. Did you ever see that that meme about CM Punk where when Connor said that I don't count knockouts as a win, and then CM Punk the same day got the one win turned over because of what, like marijuana in the dude's system.
Yeah.
So it said CM Punk 2-0.
Yes, that was very, very good.
That's funny shit.
Okay, so for round 2 here, I gotta say, strong opening from the challenger here. Definitely playing on the judge's favor in the fuck Macy Barber division, but also on the other side of that, for whatever reason, we've talked about it several times on this show, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it several times more. The UFC just cannot get enough of Mickey Gall, and I don't understand it. I have nothing against
I
him.
think
like
it's
him.
I think it might be the looks too, and American, and it might be, I don't know.
Like, he beat Sage Northcutt and CM Punk. That's his claim to fame. That's it. Sage Northcutt and CM Punk. I don't get it. So for making the fucking why, Mickey, you're so lame point, I got to give round 2 to TJ. So we are tied up going into 3 for sure. So this is where it gets a little interesting, because originally this is the point where we would talk about the co-main event. But as of right now, we don't have a co-main event for this weekend's card because Aspen Ladd and Macy Chazon literally just got pulled an hour ago.
Oh,
So
really?
Instead, what I'm going to say, or what I'm going to ask rather, which card between the UFC and the BKFC, since you have to pay to see either one because you have to have ESPN Plus or the BKFC app or Fight TV, which of these 2 cards is the better value if you have to spend the money, and why?
Wait a minute.
Like,
Can you say what's besides BKFC? What else?
So BKFC or UFC?
Or
The only
UFC
difference
and
with
just for
UFC,
this weekend? Like,
just for this weekend.
okay.
So UFC is on ESPN Plus, so you have to technically pay to see it. And then BKFC is available both through the BKFC app, which you have to pay to get, or on Fight TV, which is like discount to zone now.
How much would BKFC be?
BKFC is $65 for the pay-per-view.
Who goes first? Go ahead. I just needed info before we went in there.
We'll let Golf T go first here, so you can have a minute to compose yourself.
All right, look. I'll say it. If you're going to pay to watch Twitch or TikTokers fight, you should be doing it on Twitch or TikTok, not on a pay-per-view card. There's no way on God's green earth that you should be paying for this. If you're going to pay for this, do it at fucking goddamn Buffalo Wild Wings, where you're just getting a fucking meal while you watch the fucking shit. The literal human excrement get thrown out at you. Because that's all that is. Pay for the UFC this weekend. Why? Because you know what? That ESPN Plus that you pay for, that's a monthly subscription. So you're not just getting this month. You're getting this fight. You're getting the entirety of this month's fights. Just saying, much better deal. Look, this card might not be the greatest, but at least there's legitimate professional fighters on this. No fucking TikTok, no goddamn bullshit like that. You're getting legitimate actual fighters who aren't calling out people that are at the end of their careers to fight or have already retired or have no boxing experience. Just saying, the UFC right now for this is the place to be. Had you asked me this about 10 fight cards ago in BKFC, I would have told you something completely fucking different. But that is not the case. UFC all day. Buy ESPN Plus. Fuck, go on Hulu and get it with the Disney bundle and ESPN Plus. Like $15 for the month, you get all 3. Fuck it. That's a win-win right there.
I say no. I say pay the $70 for the BKFC, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if there's 4 fights with TikTokers fighting each other, this means 4 TikTokers are getting beat up that night that weren't going to get beat up before. Okay, you're looking at this the wrong way. They're beating up TikTokers still, you know. So, and I want to see this shit. I want to see it. So I think you should pay for that.
I guess if you want to watch a fucking goddamn pillow fucking fight in their pajamas,
Plus they wear pretty clothes. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, okay. Somebody who's never thrown a punch before gets to throw a punch, I guess. I might pay for that.
Yeah.
If I really wanted to pay for that, I'd go down to the fucking park and put 2 toddlers against each other. Same fucking concept.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much.
So,
And you don't get to see this very often anymore, you know? World's going, we need to see this. That's why you got to pay it. You got to pay that $65.
so Nick Devine makes a very, very compelling argument here. I will agree. If you are going to have to pay for something, paying to watch morons from social media get beat up by other morons from social media is definitely a good way to go. I have to say, though, on the other hand, throwing the bundle advertisement in and making a point to remind us that the ESPN Plus subscription gets you the month's worth of fights instead of just this week's fights, I think just squeaked right under the radar there, and we're going to give that last round to TJ. So 2-1 going into 4 here.
You know what I really don't like about it is that when I go to buy a pay-per-view now, it offers me a year of ESPN, but I already paid for it this month. Like, what? You know, I don't like that. Like, I've been paying for it for a year. Let me get it at that fucking price, dude.
Good thing this ain't a pay-per-view card.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that ESPN Plus is the best way to go by
No.
any stretch of the imagination. I'm saying in this particular instance, TJ made the better argument.
I've been a subscriber of it ever since it's been out. So I've never bought a BKFC fight in my life.
Oh, so, okay. So with that being down, for round 4 here, we can still go back. Since this one didn't get scrapped, I'm going to ask both of you gentlemen, what are we looking for in the main event of the UFC? What are you looking forward to the most? Who's going to take it? How do you see it going? What makes you excited about that main event? So, Nick, we will let you go first this time.
Okay. I'm looking forward to Corey Sandhagen. I like him as a fighter. I think he's a good kid. I like how he's mean in the cage. And TJ Dillashaw just rubbed me the wrong fucking way. So I really want to see Corey get over on TJ, which I think he will. And I've been watching the Chael son and Uncle Chael, and he's been making great videos about this, about TJ versus Sandhagen, what they were like in the gym, and then the EPO video. I'm actually interested to see how TJ Dillashaw performs, and I'm interested in seeing Corey Sandhagen kill him or beat him. Not kill him. Don't kill him.
Right? Yeah, killing's wrong. We don't do that.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Golf Tee, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, look, I will agree with him. I'm looking at this for Corey Sandhagen. However, somebody has got to come in here and play devil's advocate a little bit, so I'm going to do so. This, for TJ Dillashaw, is a chance to prove that, hey, I took my fucking suspension. I've wrote it out. I've got my system clean. Let's see how I come back. This is his chance to say, am I still as good as I was when I was on the fucking horse meat? Or am I not? To be quite honest, this is more of a coming out party. What pisses me off about this fight, I'll say it outright. It shouldn't be happening. He should be starting at the bottom of the fucking pile again. You get popped, you should be at the bottom of the pile. However, his last fight technically was for a belt.
And Corey called him out too.
I'm just saying, this is a fight to watch, see what happens with TJ. Chances are he gets knocked out. Or submitted, because Sandhagen's been doing that a lot lately.
Right. So, good points on both sides here. I agree with both of you. I think Sandhagen's gonna fuck TJ up. I'm not 100% sure yet if it's gonna be a knockout or if it's gonna be a submission, because I think Sandhagen has the power and the technique to do both. To TJ specifically, I think he's gonna fucking win it for sure. I will say though, I think with just a cleaner, quicker, more crisp, more precise answer here, we got to give round 4 to Nick Devine. So that means going into 5, we are all tied up 2-2, winner take all. Welcome to Thunderdome, gentlemen. Last question takes everything. So, with everything being said, all things being equal, lots of TikTokers, lots of OnlyFans on the BKFC, lots of overhype, lots of no names on the UFC. Your final question, gentlemen. With all things being done, pretend that it's Sunday morning now. Which fight on either of those cards do you think is actually going to get the most attention, win, lose, or draw? Mr. Devine, we will let you go first here. As soon as he unmutes and pauses.
I'm sorry, I lost count. What was the question again?
What comes Sunday morning?
Mhm.
What one fight out of all the crazy shit going on this weekend is going to be the one that gets the most attention, win, lose, or draw?
I think the main event. I think the main event. I just do. Either way, I think either way, if Corey wins, that's a big story. I think he's going to win dramatically. And if TJ Dillashaw wins, then it's a good comeback story, right? So I think that's the one. There might be somebody to steal it, but yeah, I think that's the one, because I think both of them can do also like a highlight reel knockout or submission. So I just think that's the fight to pick. That's the safe fight for me to pick right now, I think. Yeah.
I can see that. So that means for the final answer of the evening, the returning champion gets a chance to give us his answer. Mr. Golf Team, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, now, being as the question was, what fight do I think is going to see the most eyes this weekend? It very much pains me to say this. Very, very fucking much so. I think the most eyes are actually not going to be on the main event of the UFC, but on the main event of BKFC. Because for some odd reason, people will pay not once for OnlyFans, but twice to watch two OnlyFans fight each other. Just saying, if we're going to put platforms up here and talk about platform fighters, they're going to pull eyes, because guess what? Both of those women have a large following, more than what this fucking UFC card is going to pull. I'll say it outright. As much as it pains me to say that, I think that fight is going to pull more eyes than the UFC main event.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, those are both good answers. I'm going to tally up the score here real quick. I got to say, you both made valid points here. Either way it goes over on the UFC side, if Corey wins, he absolutely has that highlight reel potential. And if TJ wins, like you said, it's the comeback story. He's coming back to claim his belt, and I get that. I don't like fucking TJ, but I get that. On the other side of it, it fucking sucks, and I have to agree. As aggravating as it is, there are definitely a lot of simps getting ready to drop $65 because their favorite OnlyFans stars are about to bounce around an octagon or a squared circle for 10 minutes. This is a tough decision. This is a genuine tough decision here. All right. I've made up my mind here. Through the power of logical deduction, the voice of the chat, and the spirit of the fight gods within me, I have to say the winner of this evening's entrance into the pit And still, Golf T Vapes. It's a very compelling argument. It was a very, very close call. It was a tough decision to make. I think, honestly, if Nick Devine wouldn't have thrown that, I got my notes early quote out there, he might have been able to take this away, but he shot himself in the foot. He cheddar bobbed.
It's like grabbing the cage. This is ridiculous. Look at my face and then look at his face. Look at my face and then look at his face. These judges are crazy.
Look,
That's it.
in case
I
it
love
was
that.
earlier, I had to take this fight on short notice. I was literally hauling ass back from a 2-hour drive to get back.
My foot was a balloon.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I do have reportage that Nick Devine has mental arthritis and he's had it for a long time. He tried to tape his neck before the show, but the commission wouldn't let him.
And probably EPO's coming up in my system later.
I'm just going to say we take a sample A and a sample B, so we'll find out. Good competition from both of you gentlemen. I do want to thank both of you gentlemen for taking part in the pit this evening. We now have a 2-time winner going forward into next week. So RJ better be doing his homework while he's at work, man. He better be looking at the cards coming up, because as of right now, Golf T's got that snowball building, and we're going to have to find some kind of a crown to hang up there on the fucking screen for him at this point. Unless somebody can knock that thing off his shoulder, we got a reigning champion as of right now. We're gonna have to make it official and make an actual championship match.
Hopefully we have somebody coming up really soon, like Macy Barber, to take his title. You know, somebody really, a young buck maybe.
Hey,
Like
we
really
do
good,
have
like
somebody
Macy
here who
Barber,
could-
because she's really good.
We have somebody in the organization here who could be the youngest champion ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we are going to call that all for this particular episode, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages. Thank you very much for your time. Before we get out of here, though, I do want to give these fine gentlemen just a moment to let you know where you can find them, rather. So Golf T, if they have not had enough of your championship ass after this show, how can somebody get a hold of you afterwards and get a little more information from you?
Fucking 9:30 Central Times right here on the YouTube's Golf T Vapes every fucking Wednesday. I'm here, and I'm here every fucking Thursday that I can be. I think I've missed one show in the last 3 years, maybe 2. Outside of Meter, I'm here every fucking week. I'm the only person who's here every fucking week. Just saying. It's the reason why we have champ status right now, back-to-back weeks.
Good. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had.
Nick Devine.
Yeah, I had fun, guys. Actually, after I do my little outro, I'm probably gonna get out of here. But yeah, it was definitely fun. Sorry, I wasn't completely focused in on everything at some points. But yeah, you can find me on n.divine83, YouTube, Instagram, and yeah, that's it. Had fun. I look forward to next week and the fights coming up. So yeah, thanks for having me.
It was compelling.
And yeah, and anybody that came out and chat and watched live, thank you very much. Anybody watching the video, thank you. And I'm out of here.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen, for both of your time. I appreciate that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy what we do around here, hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification bell so you don't miss an episode. If you don't have time to catch us while we're live, it's understandable. It's on replay, available on YouTube after the show. But if you need a little background noise and you want to get it this free, I understand as well. Anchor.fm/I'm No Joe for this podcast in the all audio format through your podcast consumption platform of choice. We are available on all social media networks, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we're around. If you like it, follow us, we're there. If you do enjoy what we do around here, patreon.com/I'm No Joe to help out what we do gives you access to the behind the scenes shit, the unaired and the unairable things that we've got going on around here. But we are going to call that all for this particular episode. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless it was RJ taking back that L this week.
Oh, as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what